Welcome to day 9 of the Technoevangelist vlog. Sorry. Today is Saturday, and today is going to be woodworking with my wife. But this video is not about what I'm going to do, but rather what did I do already? What did I learn yesterday? Well, first off, let me talk about that problem that I mentioned in yesterday's video about needing to link up multiple lambdas that are running in a step function. I want them, when they write to a log, I want them to have some bit of information that says this is one transaction. What I ended up using was a timestamp that is generated by the learning platform, and so that timestamp becomes that ID that links them all together. Now I can't control the lines that are automatically generated by Lambda, but at least I can control mine. And then I went ahead and kind of standardized the output, so I have one or two real formats rather than a bunch of just random things. So that was great. I figured out, so moving on, I check out a lot of books from the library. I think something that's as valuable as finding books that you love and go through the book all the way is also figuring out, well, there's some books you just don't like, and that's okay. So maybe read a few pages at the beginning, go skip through to somewhere in the middle, and skip through somewhere towards the end, and figure out if you don't like it, get rid of it. There's no reason to waste time reading books that suck, well, at least are not good for you. Right now, my current book that I'm really enjoying is called On Trails. It's a book by Robert Moore, and it talks about kind of the history of trails. It starts off with a walk that he's done on the Appalachian Trail, but then goes through kind of a history of trails, like from the earliest trails that various organisms made. What were the first kind of trails that were plowed by different organisms, and goes forward into how were trails created in the Americas as well as all around, where were the first organized trails and paths. What's the difference between a trail and a path? It sounds like a boring topic, but it is so beautifully written, and it is really a joy to read. So I read this a few evenings in Plano, and I want to finish it because it's due back at the library in like a week. I already talked about this one, Streampunks, about YouTube by Robert Kinkle, the Chief Business Officer for YouTube. It's a fun book. It's a fun book looking at the big YouTube producers and what's interesting about them, and they just have interesting stories. It's not a how-to, it's not how to make it big, it's not how to work the system or anything like that. It's just some interesting stories about people doing interesting things on YouTube. So it was fun. Somewhere, at some point, I think probably on a podcast, I listen to a lot of podcasts, somebody recommended The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch. Explanations that transform the world. Yeah. I read this, I started reading this on the subway. I thought, wow, this is really, really interesting. And I came home and I started reading again, and it's like, oh my God, it's densely written. It's 600 pages. I think I might get a lot out of it if I really focus and I read a paragraph. And paragraphs are huge, and they don't have anything to kind of latch onto. So there's a lot has to go on in your head to understand it, and you read it, and you read the paragraph again and again and again, and maybe you might get it. Too much work. I don't really want to deal with too much work. Not sure why I picked this up. It's one of the great things about the library. You see something that looks interesting and just pick it up and take it for a couple weeks. New translation of the New Testament. It's interesting. I don't feel I want to read this new translation of the New Testament. It's an interesting idea. He's taken the original letters and original text and done a more modern translation, and so it's very interesting. It's just rather than purely relying on King James or other translations, looking at how it might be retranslated with, every translation uses current norms to help translate, and so this uses the current norms today. So interesting, but I just couldn't get into it. Okay, next. This one is also due today, so I had to start reading it. The New York Times Book of Mathematics, more than 100 years of writing by the numbers. I read, it's a collection of articles from the New York Times over the last 100 years. And I read one article and it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is great. I read the next article. I read the next article. And it didn't hook me enough. And it's due today. I'm not going to go out of my way to try to finish it. So at least I figured out I don't, if it's due today, I was thinking, well, it's due today, so I'll check it out again in a couple weeks when I get some more time. But now that I know I'm not really into it, I'll take them back to the library today and not get them again. It's just good to know. Last thing I want us to talk about is Tane Piper wrote about using any in TypeScript. I tend to want to use TypeScript more and more in whatever programming exercises I have. And there's a thing you can do. You can declare a type for any variable, and you can set it up so that you're required to set a type, which is a good thing to do. But it's tempting to set it to an any type, and any is just an easy way out. And what this person is suggesting is, rather than just assigning it to any, or making an any type, make an interface of whatever thing it is. In this case, it's old model and new model, and make all the properties inside any's. And that way you can have all the benefits of an any type, but you can build on and make it more specific and more tailored to your use case as you go along, and you're not it becomes easier to add on rather than a blocker. So it's an interesting approach, and definitely something I want to do better as I go. So that's it. That's the end of day 9. That's talking really about what did I learn on May 11th, 2018. And amazing, 9 days. Cool. See you. Bye.